Paddy, you're very welcome.
Thank you very much.
You know where you're going, Paddy, don't you?
You know where you're going.
You do know where you're
going. I do. I nearly have let it out myself.
Ah, sure, it's too late now.
It's only down the road, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
anyway, Paddy, you're very welcome. And we want to talk to you about, you know, the spirituality and all that sort of thing. But it's a big hop, really, from being a civil servant to being able to do these things.
It is, yeah. A strange one, really. But I suppose, if I may go back a little bit, when I was growing up, you know, as a child, the idea of guardian angels was lovely. You know, I always thought, you know, the prayer, angel of God, my guardian dear,
yes,
God,
that's right.
Here, every day, be at my side to let God to rule and guide. Amen. And that was lovely because every night when I was going to sleep, I used to say that, and I felt protected. And that sort of stayed with me, I suppose. But later on, even though, you know, with the adulthood, it seemed like a sort of a fantasy land, it wasn't until I was in my 40s, really, that it began to come back, but in a different way.
Did something happen to cause it to come back?
Well, a couple of different things. I think a close friend of mine died, and I was in looking at him in his coffin. And he was a very vivid, enthusiastic sort of a man. And I wanted, you see, he was lying there and there was nothing, you know, there was no life. Where was it gone, you know?
Yeah.
And then I was in a public library not long after that, and I was drawn to a section of the library, and a section that I would normally not have gone to, and a book jumped out at me. It was a book called A World Beyond by an American journalist called Ruth Montgomery. And apparently she was sitting at her desk and she was typing. And then suddenly she felt that there was this medium, Arthur Ford, who was well known in America, that he was coming through to her. He had died in 1971. And he was telling her all about what happened to him after he passed on. And I found that fascinating because I had grown up very much with the notion of, you know, when I was young, the idea of hell and heaven and eternal fire, which didn't sound very attractive, you know, the whole notion of
one of them does.
being in fire.
Heaven still, yeah.
It was a bit too hot for me.
Yes.
So this brought up a different thing of life, continuing in a way, you know, continuing creativity, continuing
but Paddy, when you,
for
instance, when you go down to this workshop at the Mind, Body and Spirit this afternoon, what will you be doing? Will people be coming to you and will you be looking at their spirit forces?
No, I won't really. I'll be more or less sharing, in a way, my own journey and what happens for me.
But what do you do for people?
Well, I write, of course. I write books, and that happened as part of the process. That I found that sometime after that, I heard somebody on television talking about people having spirit guides, and it brought back the whole notion of the guardian angel, you know, and that they were there, that we could communicate with them. And then I found that it started happening with me, that it's almost like you talking to me, that I could feel what I understood from my guides talking to me. Now, of course, one would say maybe that was the classic case of schizophrenia or whatever, but I think just Carl Jung, the psychiatrist, said that, show me somebody who is sane and I'll cure him.
Yes.
You know, so, and that this would be...
But are we talking about messages from the other side? Are we talking about the Nun of Kenmare, the famous story there?
Yeah, that's right. That would be part of it. Like early on, in a strange sort of a way, I found that she was a spirit guide for me.
Yes.
You know, like a guardian angel. And I had never heard of her, knew nothing about her.
This is Margaret Cusack.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. She died in 1899.
Yeah.
But she was well known in her time, like that has quite an international reputation as a writer, a fighter for equal rights, particularly for women. You know, and she ran into lots of trouble with her ecclesiastical authorities, of course, and so on and so forth. But yet she continued, and she wrote very prolifically. So I only found that out afterwards, and you know, and then, but the notion of at some stage this only happened about 3 years ago, that I suddenly seemed to get the message from her that she wanted to collaborate with me in writing a book, which is like a book of it's more or less a dialogue between us, and it is about what she found when she passed on, and her experiences and how she worked with people and so on. But it's a very joyful book, you know, in the sense that I think it's a lovely thing to feel that we continue, you know,
Yes, and are you getting messages from your guardian angels on a kind of a continuous basis?
Well, I would hope so.
Yes.
I certainly will tend to more and more in my life, like I tend to hand things over and work with them in that way, you know, but not necessarily in the sense of waiting for messages to come through or anything.
No, but does it affect your lifestyle and the way you would conduct yourself?
Oh, indeed it does, yeah. But I believe that it's so for everybody, really, you see, that this is the thing. Oh, absolutely. You see,
that we go on.
Oh, yes, indeed. I have absolutely no doubt about it, you see. But then when you look at it, it would be a very strange thing, say, you know, that we're born, and we grow up, and then at some stage we die, and that's it.
But it's an awful lot of trouble to you for something as short, isn't it? I mean,
wouldn't it be?
Yeah,
you know?
It would be, yes, a terrible waste.
And all the creativity that's gone into what we are. And then to feel that we can continue with that.
Well, it's also that thing, isn't it, about not being afraid of death and not being afraid of passing on to something else. Because if there's nothing, it's been what's it been.
That's right, but it's really just a transition. But also, too, it takes away, there was a lot of fear associated with death because of this thing about judgment, you know, and then being consigned to the one place or the other. Which seemed terribly unfair because, you know, even if I was, say, sinning every day of my life with big, huge mortal sins, I still only lived for a speck of eternity to be condemned to fire forever. Like so.
Absolutely. Well, listen, Paddy, it's fascinating talking to you, and thank you for coming in. And you're off now to the RDS. It's all right to say it now.
The RDS is now officially where you will be.
It's all right to say that.
And we have your books here, The Grand Design, just a selection. You will have some of your books there, presumably, as well, at the RDS.
That's right,
At the Mind, Body and
I wrote
Spirit
under the name
Festival.
Patrick Francis originally because
I see that,
which was really dropped my surname. That's all it was.
That's right. But there's all the books now.
Lovely.
Let me tell you.